Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening. Thank you for tuning in to Sarah Sessions, sessions that help you heal a little part of yourself through conversations that warm the soul, remind us of our power, and allow us to heal parts of our minds or our beings in different ways. Today, I have the wonderful Jennifer Setsuko, which is the director of Setsuko School for the past 15 years. She is also a massage therapist for the past 25 years, a mother of six, so three boys and three girls, and really just an overall incredible human. Hi, how you doing, Jen?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming over. It's been a while that we've been wanting to do this together. We haven't had the chance to get together at the right time because timing is always an issue
Mm.
because you're working all the time and you're at school and tell us about you. Everybody needs to know you and everybody sees Jenny and they're like, "Oh my God, Jenny, Jenny, can you help me with this? Can you remind me this?" Or what is that all about?
Yeah, so I think most people know me as you introduced me as a school director, but I'm also a massage therapist for over 25 years. So right now, I'm running the school École Setsuko in Montreal, Quebec, and we just recently expanded to a second location in the West Island. So there's two schools running simultaneously. And this past year, it's been a lot of work, a lot of running around. I feel like I'm running in like a chicken without a head. So yes, I'm glad that we have this moment to actually just sit down and get this recorded, because
Yeah.
we talk all the time. And I said
Yeah.
that myself. It's like, why are we recording this? So yeah, we'll just make it formal and in high demand, not only for teaching, but I do a lot of the admin and the course planning and creation. And I still have a private practice. So I see clients and I run clinics out of both of the schools. So the school is not only a professional training opportunity, but we also promote job opportunities, not only in my own clinic, but in all the clinics around Montreal. I think that this massage business or the wellness industry is really up and coming. I've seen a huge shift since COVID. There was kind of a lack or a downfall of massage therapists for various reasons. And I would have to say that was really the pivot or the turning point of the school. Some of my background and my roots actually came from a very humble place. I
Mhm.
was teaching and practicing and working from my home for the first 10 to 15 years. So that's kind of a little insight of how I was able to have six kids, make a career, and grow the school is because I did it all from the basement of my home. And so for those of you who known me then, we would have our little classes in the basement, and then eventually we expanded to the first floor. You would hear the little one running up and down the hallway until one day, my family just kicked me out. They're like, who are all these people in our house? And I think we outgrew ourselves, and I was ready for that shift or that change, but it was also really scary. Being at home, working from home, and having that comfort and that
Mm.
safety. I literally cried the first week. I felt like I was abandoned. I got kicked out across the street. I rented a little studio, a little yoga
Not too.
studio we shared across the street. So yeah, it wasn't that far, but I would say after a week I was fine. I actually appreciate leaving the house, having somewhere to go, and it really having that separation of the work space and the personal space. I think that was a big game changer for me. And I always call the school and my business like my seventh baby. So after I stopped having kids, I put all my energy and all my creative force really into this, nurturing and fostering not only the students, but the teachers and the staff and, they're kind of guiding where they might see themselves in this field. All this to say that I think that it's booming because there's a lot more popularity and awareness about prevention and self-care and maintenance. I think massage therapy is also kind of on a swing towards the clinical side. So, we work alongside physiotherapists and sports therapists and, really help to like rehab injuries and things like that. But all this to say that there are job postings every single week that are sent to us. So I
Mhm.
know that there are still positions and there's still clients in need. So as long as I see that, I'm going to keep running the school. I'm going to keep teaching. I'm going to keep creating courses.
Mhm. It sounds like there's been a lot of transition throughout the past 25 years from having the children to working from home for about 10 years and teaching and running a household, and then to just being kicked out, as you say, or starting your new school across the street to now where you've got two locations, you've got tons of people that know you, your school is sought out, your teachers are sought out, your classes are sought out because of the way that they're set up and that aspect of self-care and self-knowledge and somatic approach to massage. So it's not only about the muscles and, put some oil and that's it. Thank you, goodbye. More, it's a little bit more about the experience, the inner experience of the body as well. So I really appreciate that about your classes and your school and your teachers. Now, this is a fantastic start to our conversation because it shows how resilient you've been throughout this whole time, but this is not where it started. Your story starts in California.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was born in California.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, let me think back to little Jenny. I was always very
Mhm.
active. I started dancing at the age of 5. So I think it really started there, just moving my body and playing and enjoying music. It soon turned into competitive dance. So I did that whole circuit for about 20 years. I eventually ended up teaching and I went to college, or I went to performing arts high school, first of all, and it was dancing like 5 hours a day, doing after school programs and shows and stuff, and finally landing me into a BA in the dance program in California. During this whole time, I'm using my body, I'm very active. It's clear I'm probably going to be a little bit sore, but I knew nothing about massage therapy besides exchanging hand massages with my friends and back massage. So I was always into that kind of pampering stuff. But it was my grandmother who gave me my first massage. I was 16 years old. And I remember laying on that table and thinking in that moment, this is what I want to do with my life. I want to make people feel as good as I feel right now. And that was a real pivot. I mean, I was still in high school, and I just knew. I'm like, I want to do this. So last year in high school, I found a little, um, what do you call that? Like a little college, vocational school.
Mhm.
Then I started taking some night and evening and weekend classes learning massage. And by the time I graduated high school, I also had a certification in therapeutic massage. It was like, just a 100-hour course, but that definitely set me on my path on this. And I was still dancing because I thought, I want to be a professional dancer. This is how I'm going to see the world. And I applied for an exchange student as an exchange student at Concordia University in Montreal. So that's what brought me here to Montreal. I did the dance program for 1 semester. I needed a job, so I started doing massage therapy on the side. Then to realize that you might need some extra courses to get certified and recognized. So I did all of the core training here, learned a few new modalities like shiatsu and reflexology. So my base has a strong foundation in Swedish shiatsu and reflexology. This is how I started. And yeah, I was kind of doing both dancing and massaging at the same time. And I also had my first pregnancy. So that was still a lot to juggle. I was young, I had the energy for all that. But I remember there came a pivot point where the dance thing was kind of hit a plateau. The massage business wasn't really moving. Things were kind of stagnant. And I also had a second one on the way. So this was all within the first 3 years of moving to Montreal.
Talk about transitions,
I like to waste time.
adaptation.
So I made a choice. I decided that I think there's some longevity in the massage industry. And also, I wanted to be home. I wanted to be there for my kids. not necessarily breaking my back, rehearsing, touring, dancing, doing that whole circuit. So I decided to put all my eggs in one basket, and that's when I opened up the basement, and we had like one or two
Mhm.
rooms. I was seeing clients, and eventually I was asked to teach. Well, I was part of a parent group. Actually, that's how it all started. I was part of the parent group at Head and Hands, and I offered like couples massage workshops. So it started as like on a very community basis, and I think that's where our heart and soul comes from. So everything that you spoke of, yes, we'll talk more about that soon, but there's real heart and there's real warmth and there's where real comfort feel at home.
Mm.
And they literally were in my home. I welcomed people into my home. I taught in the community centers to other moms and to their kids. And then, like everything else, it just started to expand and to grow. I applied to have a recognized school. So, to be able to give the hours and the certification as a profession. And yeah, the rest is history. So, I hope that gives you a little
Yeah,
insight to my roots.
absolutely. Great. Thank you. It's incredible. From California, dancing to massage, having your first certificate at 18, by the time you finish high school, and going to dance, but really finishing in what that moment with your grandmother on that table just created.
Yeah.
Wow. And can you tell me what Setsuko means?
So Setsuko is a family name. It's my grandmother's name that was handed down to me. And later on, found out, or I kind of put it together, that it means touching energy, or that's my take on it. Setsu is touching, Shin, touching energy. So I think it says a lot about not only how I practice, but how we teach. You mentioned the embodied experience, the somatic experience. It definitely comes from having the dance background. But if we're going to be working on people's bodies, I think that we should be somewhat in tune with their own bodies, right? Do you want to get worked
Absolutely.
on by a very stiff, intense, and
No,
stressed out therapist?
absolutely not.
Yeah. So all of our principles, all of our teaching models really embody and model the client therapist relationship. And it starts within first. Most of the teachers that are teaching at this school were my teachers. So if we look at the generations and the lineage and this bridge between the generations, I see it very meaningful that my grandmother gave me my first massage. And here I am now facilitating a school and teaching this. My first teachers who inspired me are now teaching courses at the school. So, there's this really nice kind of,
Passing on,
yeah, passing on
passing it forward.
cycles
Mm.
come to mind.
Yes. I think cycles are things that we forget about in life. And that's where we get overwhelmed and think life is too much. And we don't realize, well, maybe it's the end of a cycle, or maybe it's the beginning of a cycle. Maybe it's a shift, or, these cycles, they're in everything.
They are. They are our day and night and our seasons and our years and our solar system.
And our
And
menstrual cycles and menopause and andropause for men. And yeah, absolutely.
I think
Cycles.
it's interesting because I think we try to escape the cycle or fight the cycle, Like, are you ever get frustrated or upset, like, oh, not this again,
Mhm.
Like, why is this happening again? Or what? Not again. And so it's this idea that we're separate from these cycles, but life is a cycle. You describe different stages of life as a cycle, life and death. But even in not only our day to day, but maybe like even our bigger, deeper challenges that we face, I believe is all part of a bigger scheme as well too. And it is very much linked into the cycles. And if we can maybe just accept and go with the flow a little bit, as you
Mhm.
say, just accept things and people the way they are.
Life, to accept
The sun
people
rising.
just the way they are, and to accept yourself just the way you are, and be mindful enough to not mix the two in a way that it becomes toxic.
So, what was very enlightening to me when it comes to, because what you're describing sounds a bit like personalities. right? Our
Mhm.
personalities are the things that clash or that disagree or get upset or frustrated, egos. But a lot of what we teach, even if it's like Western, scientific massage or approaches, really comes from a strong Eastern lens. And in the East, everything is about cycles, but the yin and the yang, and more importantly, the five elements. So when I started studying shiatsu and really going deep into the theory of the five elements, as you know, they each have characteristics. And similar to like a horoscope, every person has strengths and characteristics of elements. And the elements are basically like the reflections of nature, right? We see the seasons, we see the day, the night, the hot, the cold. Everything that is outside is represented inside. So when I started to do the personality of the five elements, it's like we don't have a choice. Like the mountains don't choose to be there and the sun doesn't choose to rise. It just is. And if we can see people in their elements and it's not necessarily a choice. Yes, of course, in life we learn and we observe, we become self aware. There is choice, but the innate nature of our souls and our beings is already mapped out.
Mm.
And when you see the relationship of the cycles, like the fire and the water, or the metal cuts the wood, you will start to understand why certain characteristics or people or traits bug you, or why you get along with some people and not the others. And so when I saw it from the five element lens, I was like, oh, just a huge wave of, I don't know if surrender is the word, but just
Mhm.
acceptance. What the reason why I love teaching is the light bulb moment. So this happened to me. And when I teach five elements in class, it's like ding, ding, ding. You see the students, it's like, oh, that's why I fight with my sister. Oh my gosh. And then with that understanding comes the compassion. And then like, not only do we become aware of certain things, but
We could become considerate.
and relationships can shift. And I think this is the makings of the potential that can actually change the world.
Totally
Um,
agree. Couldn't agree with you more.
but it starts within, right?
Starts within. So how do you start your journey within every day to keep your balance from the chaos that surrounds you? Because I see you, and from the outside, you look so zen and in control of everything, and you know everything about everything. Plus, you teach, plus, you massage, plus, you got your kids, full house. You also have another side business, which is the spa,
Diva party.
the diva party.
Yeah. Mobile spa for
Okay.
parties, events. Yeah. I don't even know how to begin to answer that question. Like, how does my day begin? With a cup
Like
of
how
coffee and
right.
going to the bathroom like
Mhm.
everybody else? But I think, and it's very kind of you, and I think people's perception of the outside is maybe not all of the truth, or it's just a perception. And I don't at all see myself as all those things. So to answer your question,
It's
I
part of
don't
the
know.
high reels, right?
I just do, but it didn't happen overnight. I think that's the key. I didn't wake up with 6 children and 5 businesses. No. It's like
Mm.
my motto, as for a life motto, is just one foot in front of the other, which basically means just take things at stride, one step at a time. And I don't tend to get stressed out or overwhelmed by the future or the past. Maybe I'm just too busy to acknowledge it. But for me, that keeps me sane. There's so much going on at all times, all over the world, and in our own personal lives. Like I can just
Especially
focus.
especially nowadays.
Yeah. And
So
yeah.
so on that note, what are some of the practices that you actually use to stay grounded and keep one foot in front of the other and keep going? Like, that's not always obvious.
Yeah, I would say I'm always talking about the core, but the core is the start and the end of it all. So
For
remembering your core.
so for our listeners, can you just explain what you mean by core?
Well, core means a lot of things to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm touching my abdomen, my lower belly. So for me, it's like the point below the belly button, the dantian. It could be your sacral chakra, your womb, your creative space. It could be your transverse abs. Like it's all part of the mix of what holds us together. And if it's weak, we fall apart, right? If it's toned and flexible and movable but strong, you feel grounded. So coming back and remembering the core. And for me, my core is my home and my family because that's where it started. It started with my grandmother, it started with my body, it started with my home, my partners, my
Mhm.
family, and everything grows from that seed. And when I start to feel ungrounded, I come back home and I do a big group hug. Kids,
Mm.
we do a dog pile. And I love just having the weight of bodies on me. One of my favorite things is just us all squishing in the bed and watching a movie together, or doing things together. So again, that's me and my little family unit. But I think that this energy and this warmth and this love and this compassion absolutely extends out because you feel it. Our teachers feel it, our students feel it, the
Mhm.
community feels it. And I truly believe that this world will be a better place with all of this in it and contributing.
It sounds like your passion has become these roots that are opening up like a plant that's opening its roots under the ground. It kind of sounds like your why. So, what would your why be? If I was to ask you, what is your why on a daily basis?
I'll answer it more on a bigger scale
Mm.
because the why of what I do for the school and what gets me up all day, like what's the goal, is to train or to contribute or put out there in the world, however you want to say it, competent, effective, safe, and compassionate therapists. Because I think that the world needs that. People need that. When I said the shift with COVID, there was isolation, so we're all looking back to connect, to be seen, to be held, to regulate the nervous system and the vagus nerve. So that's the big why. I think, like on a personal level, well, there is the light bulb. It happens in students, it happens with clients, it happens to me when I'm teaching, when I'm treating, like they all feed each other. And I don't really know. I can't say anything more beyond that, but I know that I enjoy what I do. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy seeing them grow, you know?
There is this sense of fulfillment when that light bulb goes off. Even for me as a massage therapist and as a coach, when that happens and just in someone and you feel like they're going to make those shifts and changes because they feel empowered and they found their why or their purpose or whatever it is that motivates them. It's just so fulfilling.
Yeah, I guess I'll piggyback off of that a bit too, because what does the light represent? It's like lightness, it's awareness, and it's part of the healing potential. So yeah, if I can get in on some of that light too,
Mm.
that's even better. And notice what happens with fireflies, they all come together and there's a bigger light. So it's not about one individual, it's really about the coming together and it's all sharing and engaging in these moments. And I think,
Mm.
again, like that's the ultimate goal.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Those moments that I love are some of that light that's shared are moments that sometimes you wouldn't expect having with a client, and there's an exchange of a conversation right before a massage or during the massage or after a massage where it just feels like their eyes are brighter and their face lights up and their energy changes. And it's like if there's a jolt of electricity that went through them and that shifted them. And for them to witness it and to become empowered to just having witnessed it within themselves and by seeing it. I find it healing for me as much as it's healing for them. I find it touching for me as much as it is for them. I find that all these layers get peeled back every time
Mhm.
during these sessions, and these layers allow for more space for new perspective and new breath and new flow and new movement to arrive in their life and in my life
Yeah.
in return. It's very powerful work. I love my work. I love your work. And what would you say is the difference between you as the teacher and you as the therapist? Or is there a difference?
No, they're actually the same, and I've been asking myself this several times is like, could I give up teaching or treating, right? Because it is a lot to juggle sometimes,
Mhm.
But what I'll say is that they feed each other. Similar to how you described your interactions with your clients, everything is reciprocal. And it is a mirror. And just like the symbol of the yin and the yang, like always come to my mind because we're talking a lot about the light, but we also have to acknowledge and honor the darkness too. And so it's reciprocal, but it's
Absolutely.
also, there should be movement involved. So the movement between therapist and teacher role is that I'll teach a technique or a topic or something that week, and then I actually go and do it. I teaching myself. I'm reminding myself, oh yeah, this thing, barefoot shiatsu or positional release, right? So I'm doing it on my clients, and it's working beautifully. And then the clients' bodies are teaching me about the technique. So then I go back into class the next week. I'm like, oh, and this is what happened. So I feel it keeps the teaching alive, working with bodies, and the teaching inspires me to continue to work with the clients because I think it's really easy in this profession working one on one and you're the therapist or the helper or the caregiver, right? It can become isolating or heavy at times
Mhm.
because let's face it, we do deal with a lot of heavy pain and chronic conditions as well. But yeah, I love the movement in it, and
Mhm.
I think that's why I keep moving because I
Yeah,
have to, otherwise I'll be dead.
right,
Yeah.
right. Even though there's some stillness that is necessary, but it just goes hand in hand, right? Yin yang?
Yeah.
We were just saying that?
You have to
What
leave space for stillness because that's where things can shift. So
mm,
yeah, I talk about this movement, but it's more of like a inspiration feeding each other. But when you're in the moment, whether you're composing a sentence or you're holding a trigger point, right? You have to wait for it to and waiting is I call it this concept is called the still point.
mhm.
It's like that ebb and flow where the ocean waves come in and the undertow pulls out. There's like a moment of stillness. And again, like a cycle, it happens over and over and over. But I think you can kind of like tap into that feeling. And it's just in that stillness, there's all the space and all the potential is possible in those moments. So if we don't allow those opportunities for still points,
How do you think we could allow those opportunities for still points in our lives as therapists, as teachers, as just somebody that's looking to create more flow, more space, but is doing a lot? Like how as a layman person, how do we create space for stillness when we're always running, everything is always catching our attention? Everything is looking to sell something to us. Everything is being destroyed around the world. Like, how do we find stillness?
you're talking about meditation and breath and nature or anything that inspires you and reminding ourselves to take the time to breathe, to meditate. And meditate is a big word. Like, what does that even mean? But it's about tuning in, it's about
Mhm,
walking or just focusing. It's all about regulating the nervous system into a place of calm. We do that in our sleep, hopefully. But I use nature as an example because when I go into a forest,
mhm.
I feel like high, euphoric,
Mm,
disoriented, where
mm,
I'm just lost and I actually lose all sense of direction, but it's
mhm.
okay. It's fun. Or the ocean does that to me. So, whatever is your happy place, you can physically go there, you can imagine it there, you can have some audio or an image, a vision board, whatever, but I would say prioritize it. Put it in your calendar, set an alarm. Like one of the basic homeworks I give to my clients is just set an alarm, 5 minutes. If 5 minutes, just do 2 minutes. I don't care, right?
Yep,
Start somewhere
I do the same.
and just check in with you. What does Jenny need today? What do I want? What do I need? Am I hungry? Am I tired? Am I bored?
Mm.
And just asking yourself that question is a great place to start because a lot of times we don't even know what our basic needs are.
Most people don't know what they want. Most people don't know what they need. And most people that come for massage think they know what they want, but then that's not what they need. And so my next question comes to, how do we know when we need a deep tissue or a craniosacral or a shiatsu or a Swedish? Somebody that's super tight and super tense and super hard in their body and barely breathes, do they need a deep tissue? Or do they need something more that'll calm their nervous system?
I don't know because show me, show me the
Yeah,
person. And I think that that's the special thing that therapists like us who are trained in multiple modalities that have the opportunity to explore within that because what's sold out there is the relaxation or the deep tissue or the myofascia, right? And the client doesn't know. We don't, the body knows. So when we go into a session, I might go in with an approach or a technique and I'm waiting, I'm listening. Is it responding? If it's not, we'll switch. But I would say, because this comes up a lot in teaching, it's like when you learn something new, you have to forget everything else you learned in the past and you have to commit 100% to learning this new thing like you know nothing. And I would say, see what it has to offer. So I would suggest that you try the deep tissue and see what that does for your body. You try cranial sacral, see what that does. And once you have that vocabulary of what the modalities do for you, for example, when I feel overwhelmed and my head is
mhm,
very full, the cranial sacral helps my mind, my brain to expand and to allow creative flow to come through. You know, when my hips are locked, I might go see the osteo. When my shoulders are tight, I might want shiatsu or acupressure. So I think that we all are going to develop and learn different relationships with different modalities,
modalities.
but also therapists, because most of our clients just come in and are like, I don't know what I want. I trust you, do whatever. And that's great. You know, I'm honored that they give me their bodies and their trust in that. And, you know, it's a sacred place. And sometimes we do a pure session in lymphatic or something, or sometimes we kind of explore
Mix
and
it up.
like the shoulder might need this and the knee needs something else, you know? So that's what I would say. But to really know what each one is, I would experience it purely, let it sit for a few days and see how does it work. And then you can choose
So if somebody thinks they need deep tissue and they come for a session and they don't get deep tissue.
because it's not working. I'll just tell them, I'll do deep tissue on a part and say, see, see?
I can't get in, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with everything, there's this balance of managing the client expectations of what they want and what they need. And it has to be a negotiation. Just because, you know, I'm the expert, I've been doing this for 25 years, I know what's best for you. I can't come in with, even though I do, I can't come in with it with that because like the person still wants to be heard. So we're going to negotiate. I'll do a little bit of deep tissue, but I'm going to try some pressure points and see and show them because I'm still teaching even when I'm treating,
Yes,
right? I'm
absolutely.
communicating with the body is okay. How does this feel? You know, so we'll do a little bit of negotiation in a
Mhm.
session if that's the case.
So I like that because our issues are in our tissues, aren't they? And we know that from the many books so many people have written. Amanda Blake is one of my favorite, and from our experience of hearing these stories that unravel after a massage has happened or a bodywork session has happened. I find it very interesting how the body holds all of that information on inside for so many years without moving, without shifting, without showing a peep. And if the right therapist arrives, all of a sudden it could be blown open little by little, crack by crack, so that it could be allowed to feel that light that it's been lacking. So I'm talking about grief, sadness, loss, frustration, anger, joy, happiness, worry, all of these different emotions that are stuck in our bodies, all of these different stories, they're connected to the five elements and our organs. And many people don't know this, but these are what balance and help you find equilibrium in your body. And I know that you work with the 5 elements a lot, given that you're Chinese Japanese, that you have the school, that you've been studying for so long, the work that you've done. Is there anything in this combination of yin and yang, of the elements, of the emotions, of the connections with the meridians that pass through the body, the myofascial lines that go through the body? Is there anything that you'd like to share with listeners that are wondering about how can you
Yeah.
awareness to people about all these different layers and aspects in your
Yeah. So I would say yes. The answer is yes to all
yes.
of the above. But this is a common question because people, like you said, will have an expectation or an idea of what a massage is. It's to move blood and to relax the muscles and the tissue, and that's fine. It does all that. But are we only just physical beings? We are not, right? So I like the term multidimensional. It's a little bit more complex than saying holistic. So, multidimensional means that we have many dimensions. We have the physical layer, we have the energetic or etheric layer, emotional, mental, and spiritual or beliefs, indicating layers outside of my body, because energetically that's where they are. But we go outside and inside. So, if we go deep into the tissues, we can even think some people need to have like a physical image of it. Like we have layers of the skin, and the fascia, and then the vessels and the nerves, the
Mm,
muscles, fascia, bones, and fluids, right? So all of that exists within this container. And you said issues are in the tissues. So, yes, things can be at a physical level. They can be emotions, which I think in relationship to the meridians and the 5 elements, it's a safe way to talk about maybe some of these traumatic
mhm,
or personal issues. So the training and the technique and the body work kind of provides a container of safety, of language and communication to hold that space. Because if the person's not willing to be there, to go there, we don't want to crack it open, right? That's
mm,
not safe either. But I think that just turning on that light, so bringing awareness, like, did you know your shoulder like moves or doesn't move in a certain way? Do you know that every time I touch here, you stop breathing? Or like what's going on
mhm.
that, every week your neck is seized up, So it's like, again, we're not going to go into psychoanalysis, but just asking questions about the body will reveal many dimensions. And again, we're not necessarily seeking answers, but I think the important part is asking the questions. And then I'll send the client home to think about it.
Mhm.
Or, and sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't. It doesn't matter. It's like
It
just
doesn't.
making observations of what we feel, and we feel things in people's bodies. And the more experience and the more skilled you are, like it also reveals their story too. Like, for example, I know my clients not by name, not by face, but by body habits. I'm like, well, you're the one with the knee, the
Yeah.
knee thing. Or I'll remember things about their body. And the minute I lay my hands on them, I'm like, oh yeah, what about that injury you had? And I'm like, no, I didn't have an injury. Later on, oh yes, it was me. Yeah, I know. I remember. My hands remember. And so much that like when I touch the different limbs, I know exactly what positions they're holding in their work life or in their sleep position because the tissues get locked in those positions and they show us their structure, right? So I'm talking still on physical terms, but take that into the emotional, the mental, and the different dimensions, and a whole landscape can appear.
Mhm.
And it's fascinating. And I think that, yeah, people should integrate all the
Yeah.
pieces.
I'm gonna come back a little bit. You talked about COVID and the need that we had afterwards, the lack of therapists and the need of touch that we had lost connection with. That connection between people, that connection between ourselves to ourselves, that co-regulation that happens. How did that translate for you? How did COVID translate for you?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that we all lived through a
Lock
time
Very
in history
interesting
that
time.
was global, so of course it impacted everybody differently. I will say that the first 3 months when everything stopped, I went into burnout. And I stayed in I slept, I was exhausted, I slept for 3 months, I would say, and then our profession, think, was one of the recognized ones, so we slowly got up, we went back to work, with a lot of restrictions,
Mhm.
like, I couldn't go write books on it, but remember, like, my household was 8 or 9, yeah, we're 9 people in the house, so we co-regulated.
Yeah.
So I didn't personally experience the isolation that a lot of people
Mhm.
faced, but the fear and the propaganda and everything that was dished out at us was real. And the fact that I had children going to 5 different schools and like all of the potential germs that were coming back, like it was a different level of
Mhm.
chaos, and isolation. But on one level, I loved being home, I really did. I like working from home. We, in 2 weeks, transitioned all of our classes onto Zoom. So I think we were one of the
Incredible.
first schools to offer online, then hybrid learning. And when I say that the school really boomed, it was because everybody was either out of work or working from home. A lot of people had the stillness and the time to reflect on their lives and what are they doing? What are they working for? So all of the calls we got that year is like, I want to change my career. I want to change my life and I want to help people. Like, what am I doing in this office, in this corporate world? I want to make a difference. So we had a huge increase in registrations of people wanting to study and to learn, to touch eventually, but to help and support people. And so, yeah, I would have to say from that perspective, it was a good time, and like you make the most of
Yes.
what's there
Yeah.
and you have to, right?
I love that. There's a moment in time where I remember we were using plastic covers to hug each other, family members to hug each other through plastic covers
Hmm.
during COVID. Now, I remember thinking, this is insane. What a genius idea. I wish I could hug someone through a plastic cover. But thankfully, I had my mother. But there are so many people still that are in isolation, even after COVID. It's been 4 years now, 5 years since COVID, and they're still in isolation. And there's a major disconnection between the reality of social media and what's online and AI versus the reality of living in society where you actually have regular interactions with people. How do you think we can help with some of this lack in our societies? This is a much global, much bigger question, but I think it's really important to address because there's a lot of people out there that are still isolated in their minds, in their bodies, that don't seek for help for touch therapy, for speech therapy, for psychotherapy, for physiotherapy. People are very limited in their understanding of what it is. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah,
Speechless right now.
because I'm hoping that some of the work that we're doing when it comes to somebody that has never had touch or a client that's never had a massage, it actually changes their dynamic with their own body and changes eventually their dynamic with others. I don't know if
Yes, it does, but that's not really the question or the issue. If you're talking about people who are still isolated, they're physically isolated or mentally, social media and like AI as you described, my other question be like, what put them there or what keeps them there?
mm,
Is it immunocompromised? Is there long COVID? Is it really the social media? Is there fear? Is there anxiety? And these people are not going to be the ones who are calling us for appointments. So the bigger question is, how do we reach them? Right? I don't know. Maybe this podcast will reach them. And without the physical contact and the physical proximity to touch, I would say, I don't know, Sarah, maybe the next one you do some guided meditation. right?
Mhm,
We can teach people how to touch themselves or
mhm,
to use tools or balls or baths or, some sort of stimuli that can help reintroduce that or that connection with themselves at least,
mhm.
right?
Yeah, that comes back to me a lot, recently particularly. I see a lot of people together and everything, but I know a lot of people that just don't get touched, don't know how to ask for it, don't know what to ask for, don't know what it's all about, think that it's about sexuality or sensuality and it has nothing to do with that. I find it interesting. I just wanted to bring that up.
I think there's a generational and a cultural piece to that as well.
Mhm.
So, and then what comes to mind is distance healing, right? Let's, with permission, I've done sound healing, at a distance, or people
Yeah,
who do Reiki or energy work, so that's another thing. The light, color therapy, prayer, like there's so many ways, but again, that would require the person reaching out and accepting this type of non-touch therapy, you know?
right.
Yeah.
Right. You've also been a judge at massage championship and participated in massage championships. You've met so many great people. How has that impacted your business or your philosophy?
Yeah, so the whole idea of massage as a competition can be daunting or foreign or embraced depending on the audience. But I would say, in terms of what is being offered here in Montreal, we're probably in the third or fourth year. The first year, I never heard about it. The second year, I heard about it because it was connected to a summit, a conference, and I thought that as a school, we need to be there. So I purchased a booth that year, right? Um, and just to be visible, bring outreach to the school. That year, I also competed because I wanted to have a different perspective of this whole event, right? So I kind of like to get my hands into all the pieces. Anyways, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I just showed up and did my thing. And I didn't realize, like, this is a serious thing. Like, people practice, they rehearse, they get coached on this. I was like, oh, you just show up and you do a massage and show what you do. So that was eye-opening and also very humbling
Mm,
because I think, like, I got kind of big for my little bubble, right? And so what it represents and what it does is it brings in all of these teachers and all of these therapists and all of these new creative and innovative skills from all over the world to be seen and shared under one roof. So it's very, very eye-opening, humbling, but also very inspiring. So the booth was okay because I realized there's a lot of international people coming through the conference, and also being a purely one of the only purely English schools in a French province, it really narrows down our niche market, right? But I still think it's a good service to have. Like I said, it was just very inspiring to see all of these new techniques and the skills and the
mm,
creativity in that, and I met a lot of cool people in the process. So, me, I wanted to do my best, so I came back the second year prepared, and I practiced, and I think what I went there to do, I achieved, and that was to showcase a new set of skills and to meet people, to network. And even though I didn't make top 10 or place in any way, I think I inspired a lot of people that day. And I inspired myself because it was really fun to work with a colleague and to create this neat routine that I then developed into a whole workshop series. So, some of the key elements that I embody and that I practice and that I've also come to develop or expand are the principles of core stability. And beyond that, I get so many therapists coming to me and asking me about body mechanics. I think that's the number one thing. And if I have to say, if I want to make my mark in the massage industry, it's going to be about body mechanics. Because as a dancer and even as a worker or as anybody who has a body and uses their body, if you use it optimally, you're going to have a good life and a happy body. It's when we are forcing or slouching and not using our body the way it needs or could be used to its potential. So, anyways, we work with core, we work with posture, body mechanics, transition, flow. And one of the best things about massage, I think what can summarize what
Mhm.
most bodies need at this point is mobility, stretch, and massage. So a combination of joint mobilizations, of stretching and massage is really the best combo. And I've gotten really great results with these new approaches, and I'm happy to share all of these techniques and these ideas and just giving permission to play, right? And I think we forget that as therapists, we get stuck in techniques and wanting to
Oh, it's
fix things.
so
But that flow that you talk about, that exchange between the giver and the receiver, the yin and the yang, like it's so important. And I think that that's why I'm able to have a career of 25 years injury free. Right. So that's another big thing in massage therapy. After 5 years, like our wrists start to crack and crink and get and inflammation, things like that. But it's because we're not optimizing our body mechanics. So really, I want people to get proper training and to have long careers, not just a 5-year shelf life. So that's one of the things that we embed from day one. And if you're a therapist out there and have developed bad habits or don't feel like you are working to your optimal potential, then come see me or take one of our classes, Energy and Motion, explore and get some tips and cues
yeah.
and learn some new moves and then make it your own. So that's the fun thing about that. And additionally at the summit because all the big names and the teachers are there sharing their techniques, their art. I was able to meet some really amazing teachers, some of them
Mhm.
who will be teaching courses or workshops at our schools, so stay tuned. Yeah, really, really exciting. I couldn't be more thrilled with
Mhm.
that opportunity.
Awesome. And who are some of these teachers, if you don't mind me asking? I
So
think we've got Betsy Barron.
yes, Betsy Ann Barron with
Mhm.
her structural myofascial technique series.
Mhm.
So she'll be moving that over to our school. And then we have the champion first place and world champion, Kevin or Kaching Kyan. So he has come on board full time at Setsuko. He's teaching his MET workshops. He teaches the sports massage and is going to be co developing the sports program, which will be launching next year
Mhm.
alongside some of our other teachers, Michelle and Jennifer. Yeah, so there's also Orshan from the ITM, and she has brought over the Thai massage program. So that's really cool because Thai massage is very popular right now, and some of the movements and the flow and the stretching is very very useful. So that's great that she's coming over to offer that.
I think
Yeah.
we had Tracy Windmill as well a couple of times. I think she's going to be coming back as well. She's the creator of Art of Transformational Touch, which is a touch that's a little more intimate, but that uh,
Somatic.
somatic, that is a real rendition to calming the nervous
Yeah.
system, regulating and co-regulating and releasing a lot of pent up energy.
Yeah, so I did her workshop. I mean, we did that workshop
Yeah, that
together,
was so much fun.
and I would say that was a game changer
Yeah,
in my practice.
I told you.
Like,
I knew it
um
would be.
yeah, I
Soon as
mean
I got that massage from her, I'm like, "My god, we need this in
You brought
Montreal."
her. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, so I think that those 4 days was very transformational, and so we've invited her back. So right after following the summit this April, she'll be here for another 4 days offering the same workshop. I mean, of course, it's evolved because she's evolved the work. But yeah, I think that it's great for any therapist who is looking to kind of work outside the box or looking to challenge themselves in some way because if you can walk away with 1 or 2 pieces
Mm,
from a 4-day workshop and
yeah.
run with that for the year, it's well worth it. And the receiving end, I was also a demo model, and it was just like really amazing. You just feel lost within this bubble of time and space, and you're moved in all different directions, and it really elicits true abandon.
Which we don't get very often, do we?
Yeah.
Other than the teachers that you met at these wonderful, championships, can you give us a little, overview of the teachers that you have? I think you've got TCM, you've got craniosacral, which is becoming a really interesting program. I've taken it a few times, so I know it's really interesting, and I know the teachers and the assistant teachers, which are all just
Oh my gosh,
fantastic,
I
but
could write a book on our programs and our teachers and the
right.
stories and the relationships that we have, but I will try to summarize, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna start from I don't wanna say the bottom, but the foundation, right? So the Swedish massage program is a foundation because it will set you up for any advanced training that you wanna take that's hands-on, on the table, and working on the skin. So that includes myofascial, it includes lymphatic, it includes deep tissue, and sports massage. Now, craniosacral is also an advanced training program, even though it's a little bit more subtle and working with more listening skills, you still need to have
At least, yeah.
experience working with clients and with bodies and all of those things. Then we have our Eastern modalities or techniques, which are the TCM umbrella. It includes acupressure, gua sha, and shiatsu. So those are our main approaches there. Now, where
And
do
Thai, guess?
Thai massage, yes. It's not necessarily TCM, but it is an Eastern approach. So there's a lot of similarities and overlaps with the MAPs, as you call them, the
Yeah.
myofascial meridians, the organ meridians, and all of that, even the muscle lines and nervous system. But yeah, I would say a handful of the teachers are graduates of Setsuko, good majority, which is really nice because I like that they
Mhm.
grew up and learned in this tradition and can continue that. Other third would be teachers who were my teachers, in this industry. And then the others I sought out and recruited. So I'll give you an example. You talk about the cranial sacral program. Well, Tony Ang, I met him online during COVID, right?
Mm.
This was a time where therapists started offering like little mini workshops or sessions online. I'm like, what is this online massage? Right. So I saw Tony do a Facebook talk. So I joined in one of his little talks and I'm like, this guy is really amazing, you know? So I started to spy on him a little bit. And then I took a session, an online massage session or whatever. But I'm like, how is this guy going to do this online? So it's a really fascinating way he's able to kind of tune in to you, even at a distance, and to guide you through different positions and holds, and to really like it was just a really special moment, and that was very eye opening and inspiring to me because that later on helped me to develop online massage programs as well and to be able to see and support students through an online platform. So, yes, I definitely recruited Tony, and he teaches our foundation anatomy physiology, but also has gone on to develop this really amazing craniosacral therapy program,
Mhm.
which is delivered in two stages, Foundations 1, Foundations 2, and then now, which is really exciting, a whole another 3 years of advanced training. So every 3 years, it's going to rotate different themes from the nervous system to life
Phew.
stages to this guy is just a wealth of
Just mind
knowledge.
blowing. I'm taking the
So,
nervous system right now.
yeah.
Mind blowing, mind blowing.
The therapists that I've seen come out of this program, it has completely changed their practice and their approach and the way that they work with clients. So I know that there's great value there. And I'm honored and privileged to have him offering this program here. And the other big program that I think is unique to our school is the TCM acupressure program. And again, it's one of those things that I had my eye on for the past decade. And it was originally offered at the NHC. I don't know if you've heard of that school.
NHC, no.
They closed down, but anyways, the program was taught there, and I wasn't ready to dive into a course. And then they shut down, and I saw that one of the teachers was offering a little TCM course. So this is Marjorie Silka, my teacher and mentor. So I went to go take her course in her little office. I'm like, you want to come teach this program at my school, right? And she's like, yes, I'm actually looking for that. And her big contribution to the school and to the program, or to the program and to the school, would be she wanted to develop it's a supervised clinic, but it's like an extensive supervised clinic that gives the students the opportunity to work week by week with clients being supervised by the teacher. So it's not like a one-off 2-day stage, it's 12 weeks, right? That you get to follow a client for 4 weeks intervals. Then you can turn around and they can become your clients. So it was a missing piece from all other trainings or all other schools is this supervised stash, right? Because students would learn techniques and then you're thrown out into the world, right? It's like, where is that in
Yeah,
between? Where is
absolutely.
that little bridge that's going to provide support but autonomy at the same time? And if you make a connection with a client, well, those are your clients to keep for your practice. So we really like to offer that kind of support, that
Mhm.
kind of encouragement to all of our graduates because at the end of the day, your success is my success. And that's what I live by. So, yeah, that's a really great thing. And I've then adopted some of those aspects of supervised clinic into our shiatsu program and into some of our other training programs as well. And our sports program now, we are working alongside Concordia Athletic Sports Therapy. So we're going to be doing internships and stages, and they've opened up a whole massage therapy department. So some of our graduates are now working there as well. So yeah,
It seems like a full circle for you going back to Concordia. You started with Concordia and you're going back to Concordia where you've got students going and
it didn't even make that connection. Yeah.
massaging and at Concordia and at the clinic.
And then you have legends like Paul Gerard. She was my first teacher in
Mhm.
Montreal, and now she's not only taught aspects of helping relations, but she does supervision. She teaches spiritual numerology and really brings the unique sound therapy program to Jennifer Setsuko. So, I talk about the foundations of Swedish and Shiatsu and like those common techniques, but our school really offers that multidimensional
Yeah.
approach too, right? In the different modalities from the nervous system to acupressure
Mhm.
to sound therapy, there's just such a wide, vast of teachers and experiences and lineages that it's really rich. And I think people coming in or tapping into our website, they get overwhelmed
Mm.
because there's a lot that we offer. And we're still very tiny too. I mean, like 2 little
Yeah.
locations, but from offers, it's actually quite huge. So if you are curious about anything in this field, even if it's just an introduction, a discovery day, or you have maybe an inclination
You're
that,
talking about people that aren't even massage therapists
yes,
and want an introduction,
yeah, come
which you
check it
have,
out. Yeah.
so people
Check it
are very
out,
excited.
right. Or even if you might think that this might be something I wanna make a career out of,
Mhm.
I would suggest contacting us at the school, book a meeting with the student advisor, and we'll walk you step by step through
Yeah.
the process and really help you to align what are your short and long-term goals and how are we gonna get there and what maybe is the right training or modality or approach that suits your personality or your needs. So, yeah, I think that even though there's a lot that we offer, we also have a great support team and network to help you figure it out
Mhm.
too.
Thank you. What advice would you give to a new massage therapist out in the field?
Advice? I think that ultimately people come into this field to become an autonomous worker, right? We want to have the flexibility and the freedom to travel, to make our own schedules, to work with the people that we want to, right? But my advice for a new massage therapist is go and work someplace for a year 2 years, right? Get your hands on as many bodies as you can. Save the admin and the business and the marketing for later because you have your whole career to do that.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Completely agree with that.
And I would also
What a
say,
difference it made.
yeah, so get your hands on as many bodies, work for somebody to see what it's like, but don't end up there, right? You don't want to end up working for somebody else or a spa. Maybe you do, because actually the salaries are quite good now these
Yeah.
days than they were 20 years ago, okay? So there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the majority of our audience, of our students, of our graduates, they end up becoming business owners, independent workers, self employed, because that's just the level of training and support that we offer. So the second piece of advice is do continuing education. Like always look to advance your skills. We're talking about a 1,000 hours to be recognized through all the insurance companies throughout the province, but also to save your hands and to keep you fresh. And it's exciting for your clients too. So I think continuing education is a really important piece and the big picture. Even to our graduates, we offer a very well sought and well prepared business and marketing course. So, again, these types of resources that we offer to our students and to our graduates really set you up for success.
What are top 3 things that you think every massage therapist should do?
Get massage, that falls under self care, stretch. But yeah, no, that number one, breathe, body mechanics, and self care. There we go.
Amazing. Yes, breath, body mechanics, and self-care, which is often something that many people miss out on. They wanna help and give and serve so much that they put themselves on the back burner, which I'm familiar with, I'm not gonna lie, but that self-care really helps you help others much better.
100%.
So, one last question. What is advice that you would give to your younger self, if any?
Yeah, I was telling somebody this the other day is like when I was younger, in my 20s, I was so eager to achieve and to live life and to do it all. So at times I feel like maybe I missed out on adolescence and my 20s, you know? Of course, I was having kids and starting businesses. So I would tell my younger self to slow down and stop and smell the roses.
If you had a question for the next person, what would it be?
The next person you're interviewing?
Yes.
Oh, I would want to know, like, who inspires you?
And who is that for you?
It's a good question.
I agree.
I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation as well. Wherever you are in the world, if you are a massage therapist in Montreal and want some extra teachings from fantastic team, you are welcome to look into Setsuko School, écolesetsuko.ca, or you can get in touch with Setsuko. So if you like, you can get in touch with Jennifer Lee, and I'll put her tags and her handles below in the comment sections. You are welcome to leave us a comment. Tell us what really inspired you, what served you most in this conversation, and how you're going to take some of these golden nuggets that maybe have guided you, maybe have helped you, maybe have inspired you, uh, and take them further. So that's it for today. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for tuning in, giving us your time, and I wish you a fantastic morning, afternoon, and evening. May you stay blessed and happy.